Good afternoon. Hi, Sharon. Glad you could join me. Just getting last minute touches here. Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna wait just a couple minutes and see if we can get some more people brought on here. There's always a little bit of a delay with Facebook with people getting on, so hopefully we'll get more people. Sharon, can you hear me okay? You can give me a thumbs up or whatever, let me know. Good, good. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. I can't always tell from my end if everything is good or not. Sometimes these broadcasts are unpredictable. Okay. Hi, Carol. Hey, Rhonda. Howdy, howdy. Anybody going to follow along with me today? Do you have your Shrinky Dinks and pencils? If not, it's no big deal. You can always do it later if you care to do it. Just kind of a fun thing. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, people are trickling in. Okay. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. And hi, Alice. Glad you could join us. All right. Okay, so today I'm presenting working with Shrinky Dinks, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but you know, sometimes it's fun to do something a little bit different. I always like to mix things up. I get bored doing the same thing all the time. So I do a lot of different things when the mood hits me. So I figured with Halloween coming up and the fall holidays, this could be a fun thing to do. I mean, it's a great project to do with kids or grandkids, and it, you know, even without, it's just kind of a fun, not have to really concentrate hard on anything. It's just kind of whimsical. You can come up with lots of different things. If you have a rubber stamp collection already, there's a lot you can use. I will talk about stamps that work well and stamps that don't work well. And mainly that just depends on size. And stamps that have real dense letters and words and things like that, those are a little bit more difficult when it's shrunk down. You can't really read it very well. Hi, Nancy. So anyway, if you saw my post, I think it was last week, probably saying, you know, the things that we need, the materials that we need to do this. You know, it was all listed on there, but if you didn't see that, I'll kind of go over briefly some of the things that you need. But first, I want to show you, as I always do, the project that we're going to work on today and some other possibilities, which I will turn this down and hopefully you can see this. I have really strong lighting in the studio, which I love, and it's great, but it also makes a lot of reflection on metallics and stuff. Anyway, initially what I had posted was this little cat pin which I just love this little guy. And I put him on a copper disc, and I hammered the edges around him with a little embossing hammer just to give it a little texture. And then I put resin over the top. So, you know, it's more than just shrinking the plastic. So, so that's one guy. And then last night I was thinking, I had already made a bunch of these little charms, but I was thinking a little charm bracelet would be kind of cute. I didn't finish it completely, but there's lots of possibilities with the different stamps, and you can add beads, which I did. I think if I was really going to make one that I was going to wear a lot, this I didn't put a lot of thought into because it was, like I said, spur of the moment. But I think I would put some silver beads, like some balls or something like that in there, and just mix it up a little bit with the little shapes. So that's a possibility. But a lot of these stamps, or the little Shrinky Dinks, they come out small. So actually a charm bracelet or earrings or something like that would be kind of fun, and maybe a little bit better, like if you were going to, if you wanted to make a pendant. And I thought about that a little bit too. So I cut a couple of pancake die shapes, if you can see them, if you wanted to make a pendant. Because when you're working with something of this size, I can't really put a hole in this. I suppose I could if I thought it out a little bit better, but I don't really want to put a hole up at the top where the kitty's head is, and that's really where it should be centered. So if you put it on something that's a little bit larger, like say this, you know, you could put it, center it in the middle. You'd have your embossing on the sides if you wanted. This is on a roller printed piece of metal, so it's got design already on it. But then you could punch your hole up here at the top, and then you could make it a hanging pendant too. So, you know, there's lots of different possibilities. It's just a matter of what you want to make, or, you know, what you want to get out of it. So there's that. And then, you know, other shapes, maybe that pendant might have been a little bit large. You could make it a little bit smaller with something like that. And I would still, of course, put the resin on top. I think it just is a nicer, more finished look. So that's a possibility. Then I was playing around yesterday with a larger stamp. This is, I mean, it's a pretty good size one. This is a Thanksgiving stamp, but I really like it. I just think it's kind of quirky, kind of fun. So I went and I colored the turkey, and then I shrunk him, and I made a little pin out of it. So that is the comparison in the size that it shrinks. It goes from this to this. I don't know if you can see this very well. Let me see if I can hold it up. If you get the idea. So then I put resin on top of this too, and I super glued a pin back on the back. There, you know, I looked up in the catalog. I had bought these pin backs a while back, and I couldn't remember if they were solderable or not. So I tried one, and I annihilated it. So then I read the description in the Rio Grande website, excuse me, and it says to glue them on with a two-part epoxy or something like that. Well, I didn't have that, so I had super glue, and it worked out just fine. So, you know, this would be for Thanksgiving or fall, I suppose. If you wanted to wear this, you could probably mount this on copper as well. I just didn't. I wanted to just see if it would work or not, and it did, so it's a possibility. You can also do Christmas holiday jewelry too, if you wanted to. So that's a possibility too. And even though this is a little large for my taste, they have these kilt pins that have the little loops on the bottom. So you could wear that with some charms hanging down, you know, put jump rings on there and have little charms as well. So those are just a little bit of possibilities. But I think the charm bracelet thing is kind of a cute idea for the Halloween season. You could make a Christmas one too. Okay, all right, so that, you saw that, that's covered. Set this aside. Okay, so then you need shrink plastic. And I know it's backwards, but the kind that I bought is Shrinky Dink's brand, and it's called, the type that I use is rough and ready, which means that it's already been pre-sanded, and it needs to be sanded on one side so that the colored pencil would adhere to the plastic. Otherwise, it would just slide all over the place. So this would, I think I got this maybe at Hobby Lobby or Joann's or someplace like that, but I'm sure you can get this on Amazon as well if you're not sure store shopping at the time. Hello, Sue. Glad you could join us today. Anyway, so this is the plastic. You also need colored pencils, and I would buy a decent quality pencil. You don't have to have the best, but I wouldn't buy like dollar store pencils. You know, I just, I think that you get what you pay for, really. So I would get a fairly decent kind of colored pencil to use. You will also need something like an awl, or I don't know, just so, you'll see how I use this, but it helps when I am shrinking the plastic. It's helping it to not fly away. You also need a craft heat gun or heat tool. These you can get at craft stores, Amazon, whatever. They're probably $20 or less. It's a good item to use your 40% coupon on if you do that. So you need one of those. You need a heat-proof surface, which today I'm just using a ceramic tile, but you could use a cookie sheet or something that that you do crafts on. Just something so that you don't like melt part of your table or whatever. Those heat guns get really hot, so you want to be like, I wouldn't do that on top of my craft mat here because I'd be afraid that I would warp it. So I would just take a little bit of precaution and put something heat proof on there when you're going to actually do the shrinking. You also need a decent pair of scissors, like small pointy scissors, and you need a hole punch. This is a paper hole punch, not a metal hole punch. This, I believe, is a 1/4 inch hole, and you know, the standard size, I'm not really sure what that measures, but it's pretty large, and I think it's too large for the Shrinky Dinks. It would take a really big chunk out of there. But I find that this might be just a tad small to put your jump rings through, unless you have really thin jump rings. If you have 20 or 22 gauge jump rings, they should fit through this hole okay. But I found yesterday when I was doing a few of the Shrinky Dinks, I don't know if it's just the way that they shrunk, but it was a little snug to get the jump ring through the hole, so I ended up taking a really skinny twist drill and just drilled out the hole just a tiny bit, and that was okay. But I know not everybody has those things, so you know, that's just something to keep in mind. The other thing you need is Stays-On ink. I like to use the black because I like it as a border. But you know, you can, if you have a different color and you want to use that, that's fine. But this does, the color will transfer. I mean, it's going to be black. If you used red, it's going to be red. Some projects, the color doesn't matter. If you're using it as a resist, like if you were etching, that doesn't matter. So I don't want to confuse you, but I think I just did. But go for black, stays on. Okay? So you need that. You need rubber stamps. You need a variety of stamps, and I happen to have just that. I have some ones that I've had for a long time. I know this is still available, but I don't think this guy is. I got these particular ones from a company called Red Lead Papercraft.com. It's also going to be in the handout, so you will have that information available. And then these others, I'm sure I got them probably at Joann's or Michael's, that they're all holiday or Halloween themed stamps. Now, what I'll tell you about the size of these stamps is that you can see how large this cat is, but when he's done, he is, where is he? He's this size. Excuse me. I hope you can see that. There's quite a bit of difference. Quite a bit of difference in the size. So that's okay. That's fine. But as you get into smaller ones, like say this guy, he makes a really, I hope you can see him, a really small pumpkin, which is, I guess, okay for a charm, but it's getting awful small. And you still, I didn't punch a hole in him. I should have done that first, but yeah, I didn't. But some of these other guys, they're ridiculous. This is the pumpkin size, and and this is how he comes out. So that's really teeny tiny. That's like a little bit too tiny for something that I'd want to work with. But anyway, I just want to show you that because you do need a considerable amount of larger stamps. This guy is great, even though he doesn't come out all that large. This is perfect for a charm, like here. But what I did on a couple of these is I took a circle template, and you can extend the size of your stamp. Where did I put that one? Okay. Let me get my thoughts here. Not this one. Oh, brother. Having a brain fart. Sorry, guys. Well, you know, okay, here's a comparison. These two guys right here. These were the same size. This is the same size as this, but I made an extra circle around him. I just made a circle. I drew a circle on the template, with the template, on the Shrinky Dink paper, and just made it a little bit larger. And I would go a little bit larger still, just to see what you can end up with. But you've got to have, I used a black colored pencil to go around my edge. I guess what I could do to clarify that is if I wanted this pumpkin guy to be a little bit larger, this guy here, I would take a circle template Let's see here. I hope you guys can see this okay. I would take a circle template. This isn't going to enlarge him by a lot, but just to give you the idea that this is something you could do. Just draw your circle around this guy and then color that in, you know, with orange or green or purple or whatever you wanted to color him in with, and then cut around this outer edge of the black line. So you'll get an actual bigger Shrinky Dink then than just having the pumpkin itself like that. I was thinking I've got this little neat skull and crossbones, and I think I'm going to do the same thing with him, because if I would just shrink him just like that, he would be really, really tiny like that other one I was just showing you. So it kind of doesn't work out real well if they're too small. Okay, so that's another thing that I can do there. I can color in the background of here. Now another thing I tried yesterday, just to pass along the information, is I tried to stamp on the shiny side and then color, you know, on the back of it, on the correct side that's been sanded, just to see if it changed the color much. But I didn't like it, because this is what happens. The front turns out shiny, which is okay either way, but then the back doesn't. It's dull, and I just don't like it like that. I think that looks weird. Yeah, this is the one that I enlarged. So this is the side that you color on is actually going to be matte unless you use resin and, you know, shine it up. So that's the way it's supposed to be, just like that. So it was just an experiment to see what you could or couldn't do, and I just prefer to do it the correct way. And but you know, you learn by doing. So that was something I wanted to try. Okay, so let's see what else. Let me see if there's any questions up until this point, and then we will move on. Hi, Mary. Hey, Deb. Can you use your printer? I used to do tags with my logo for my bears. I suppose you could. I never thought about it. I would think maybe a laser printer might be better. I don't really know. Jennifer says, when I stamped on the sanded side, the stamp got fuzzy. Well, that's the side you're supposed to color on. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the sanding, is so that it has the tooth to grab the colored pencil on there. So I'm not sure if that's what you mean, Jennifer, but to me it's a matte finish that's on the front. I mean, yeah, on the correct side. But I think it's perfectly fine. At least for the charms. I wouldn't put resin on these guys unless you wanted to. But on the pin, okay. All right. Well, I don't know. They shouldn't be fuzzy. They should be nice and clear. So I have to think about that a little bit. Let's see. Anything else did I miss? Hi, Diane. Happy Wednesday. Yep. Okay. Hello, Carol. Okay. All right. So I'll move on with that. What else? Oh, I'm going to attempt to do this one. This is quite large. Again, this is about the same size as that turkey stamp, but I thought I would wait to show you, because it's kind of weird when you're heating this large of a surface up, but I'll show it to you just for the heck of it. But Yeah, I was at my dad's house yesterday, and oh, by the way, thank you for all your well wishes for my dad. He's doing better. He doesn't think he's doing better, but I think he's doing better. So when I was over there, as a self-defense method, I love my dad dearly, but I can only listen to so much lamenting needlessly, not legitimate, needlessly. So I brought these over there with, I sound terrible, don't I? I brought these over there with me to help me, to calm me down. And when I showed my husband, he goes, "That's a lot of work coloring all that." And I said, "Oh, no, it was just what I needed to do. It just kept my focus and my mind and kept my cool. And, I enjoyed doing it. So anyway, I had the time to do it, so I did it. Now you're going to think I'm a horrible person. Maybe I am. Anyway, but I'm going to show you how this works, as I shrink it. So sanity saving. Yes, Diane, I have lots of coping methods, because they're necessary for my mental health. Okay. Oh, and another thing that I wanted to show you is how I have my colored pencils stored. And it's not the only way to do it, of course, but I found that I saw this on YouTube, on a YouTube video of someone who made a colored pencil, on a turntable. And I thought, boy, that's pretty neat. And it is, because you can load your pencils according to their color range. But the only downside is, like, when I'm traveling or not being in my studio and I want to bring my pencils with me, you can't carry this with you. So it's not totally perfect, but it's kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to show you this. It was actually not a bad project to make. This this is my carousel, my colored pencil carousel. And it is made with PVC pipe that I bought already at these heights. Okay. And I put it on a Rubbermaid turntable, so I can turn it around. Now I have a ton of pencils, because all of these in the center are watercolor pencils, and all these around the perimeter are just normal, like Prismacolor pencils. Okay. And then I have some other, I don't know, like eraser things and other little blending tools and things like that in part of this container. I wish I could take credit for inventing this, but I did not. So there are instructions on YouTube, which I did not put on my handout, but I think if you just do a search on YouTube for a colored pencil carousel, you should be able to come up with this. It's basically, a couple different layers or tiers, whatever, and you put like a round piece of poster board, like the thick foam poster board. You put circles of that inside there to elevate that second layer so it comes up higher. It wasn't a bad project. I think I did it with silicone glue, and like I said, the PVC pipe from the hardware store. Just got so many lengths. It fits, I don't know how many it fits in there, but it fits evenly, so there's no extra spaces. You can get quite a few in there. You could even do this with your tools, with more slender tools, but it could be very useful in the metalsmithing studio as well. So I like to pass along things that I come across that might make your life a little bit easier or more organized. I'm not so organized. I'm fairly organized, but I still have a long way to go. But anyway, I wanted to show you that because, you know, you can group like all your blues, all your greens, all your browns, and have that assortment right there at your fingertips. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of my way, but that's basically what it is. Okay, all right, so let's see. Okay, so I am going to, now I stamped some already. Let me lower this down here. Okay. All right, so you're stamping on, got my stays on. You expect to get dirty because, or inky or whatever, because it just happens with this. If you wanted to wear gloves, you could, but I find them a little bit limiting, so I don't. But I've got my Shrinky Dink paper and my ink. Get this out of the way here. And we're making this guy today. At least I'm going to make this guy today. Excuse me. And if you don't get a great, you know, like when you're pressing on your stamp, if your ink doesn't cover totally, I don't know, this might not be the greatest example, but there's areas on here that the ink came up a little bit light, and all you have to do to that is take your black colored pencil and you just fill in those little areas. You can never even tell, but that way you get total coverage on your image, and it's just a little tip on there. I think I'm going to color the background on him and see how big he turns out, just for the heck of it. But with your inking, if you're not a person that knows or has worked with rubber stamps much, there's not a whole lot to it, but you need a flat surface. Sometimes people like to use a little cushion underneath there, like a little piece of craft foam. This one's dirty, but you know, you could put that underneath and stamp on top of there. Put your paper on top of there. And I'm going to do the little skull and crossbones guy and just kind of ink up your stamp. Make sure you got all the ink on there. And then you just, when you place it, you go straight down and press, and try not to slide. If you slide your hand, your image is going to be smudged. But just, I kind of give it just a little wiggle, but I'm holding firmly, and then lift straight up. Okay, so you get a nice full image on there. Okay, and if you didn't get all the way around, just like I said, you could take the black pencil and fill in any areas that are a little bit light. Okay, so then let it dry for a couple minutes. It doesn't take very long, but you just put it where it's not going to get smudged. I've got frogs in my throat today. Okay, so that's basically all you do for stamping. So, all right, so I don't need him anymore. I am going to choose, I guess, like a lime green pencil. I'm only going to color in the one because it's probably too boring to watch me just color. So I did my kitty ahead of time, so you didn't have to watch me do that. But you can fill in the features or not. Like on the pumpkin here on this guy, I'm filling in the outline with green, and then I'm going to put orange in his eyes and mouth. And It doesn't take long to fill this in. I have hairs all over. I'm shedding just like a cat. All right. All right, so I'll get my orange. It seems like they have an awful lot of stamps for Halloween, more so than some of the other holidays. I'm not sure why that is, unless people just like spooky stuff. Okay, so easy peasy. Now I'm going to take my small pointed scissors and cut. And this is important to cut, take your time when you're cutting to get a nice even cut, not jaggedy or anything, because however you cut, the plastic is going to turn out that way. It's going to melt that way, and you're going to have maybe not such smooth edges. You can sand this if you want a little bit, but I find that if you just take the time in the beginning, it's a lot easier. I'm going to get rid of this excess here. It's just easier to just take your time and do the cut as best you can. So this is the last day of September. I hate to see what's coming next. I know what's coming next, and I like fall a lot. I really do, but I don't like what comes after. Okay, now I'm taking my hole punch, and I eyeball where I'm going to put it, but I know that I want it to be in the center. You don't want to get too close to the edge, but yet you don't want to get too far down, because when you go to put your jump ring on, if you put your hole too low, you're not going to get your jump ring in there very well. Well, I guess it depends what size jump ring you're using, but just don't put it too close to the edge. Okay, all right, so there's that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and cut my kitty out too. Now on the kitty, the area around his mouth and eyes and his paws were just clear, so I filled that in with white. I like that better. I did a few just for the heck of it, to see how they came out without color, and they're pretty blah. So I think the more color you put in there, the better. Now on this particular stamp, he wasn't a full circle, and he had a little phrase underneath him, which was cute, but it doesn't work out too well when you shrink them. You just can't read it. So I just wanted to make him a circle. So I took my template and just went around there with that. Okay. So I'll cut him out. And I'm not going to put a hole on this one because he is going to be a pin. I only put a hole in one that is going to be a charm. But if I'm going to make a pendant and put him on a piece of copper, on a copper disc, then no hole. That didn't take long. Okay, so I've got my little kitty there. No hole. All right, now I'm going to get my tile. And because I have a hole in here, I am, let's see here. Gotta wet my whistle. All right, get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to get my awl. Now, when you use the heat gun and you put it on your Shrinky Dink, the air from the heat gun wants to blow this thing away, okay? That's probably the only challenge with this. That and the fact, well, you'll see it as it happens, it curls every which way as it's shrinking. And sometimes it's hard for it to lay flat. It almost always eventually lays flat, but sometimes it doesn't. So I have a little steel bench block here just to kind of smush it quickly to help it to dry flat. So that's what this is for. But it can get hot, so you want to be careful with that too. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my heat gun. The mat side is up, Jennifer. Okay, and I've put my awl in the hole right here. And just heating, and now it's starting to turn. You see how it's moving around? It's going through all its contortions. And now it's going to relax. And just having that awl there is really nice to help it stay in place. Now, why it's sticking, I couldn't tell you. I might have something on my awl, actually, that it's sticking to. That's probably it. Okay, so he's not perfectly flat, so I'm going to just heat him up a little bit more and smash him. And make sure you put this away from your arms because it's hot. You'll be crying. Okay, he's a little warm, but I can still pick him up. So look how cute he came out. It's amazing, isn't it? How quickly that works. Okay, so he's got the hole in it. And yeah, I definitely, I was messing with the super glue before. And to see if it was dry, I poked it with that. And I think that's what was sticking. But my hole is good. Goes right through. Okay, so he's matte on the front. And he's shiny on the back, as he should be. But the matte, I like the look of the matte like this, for this. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to do the cat, which has no hole. There's a little bit more of a challenge because he wants to fly away. And I can see I have a little edge here that I didn't trim properly. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off holding him. I don't know, I'll move my position a couple of times. You just kind of have to. And until you do it, I can explain all day, but as soon as you do it, you'll get what I mean. All right, so I'm going to do the kitty. He's larger. You have to release the spot that you're holding and give that a chance to shrink too. So, get back here. Okay, so that area that I was holding, now be ready for that to fly away because it does happen. Now he should relax. There he goes. He's crying. Back there. It looks a little distorted to me, but not bad. I'm going to heat them up just a little bit more. Sometimes you can do that. You can heat just a bit more and correct a problem. I know with that Thanksgiving one of the edges it was like wavy, and I didn't know what to do about it, so I just stuck the heat back on it, and it went away. So look how cute he is. The colors really intensify as they get shrunken. Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. So now I've got my kitty done, and basically that's all Shrinky Dinks are. I was thinking this kitty might be cute. He might be a nice larger one that you could, there again, my thoughts are scattering as usual. This is the largest template I have for the circle, and I think I'm going to see how big he turns out. He's kind of cute, I think. What number plastic is it? I don't know if it has it. The Shrinky Dink plastic, you mean? Like an item number? Let's see here. This says, I don't know if this is the number or not, but this is a number on here. 16110-1A. But something tells me that that's not necessarily the item number. This is Frosted Rough and Ready Creative Pack. And it has 10 sheets in it. If that's what you meant, yeah, and yeah, that's it. Okay. There's a UPC code on here, but I don't know if that is going to help you out either. But maybe that number I gave you. The recycle number. I don't know if it has one. I don't see anything on the packaging that says anything about that. Let's see. You know what? It smells. I want to tell you that. If you're sensitive to smells, odors, you might want to have a fan blowing while you're doing this because it has that plastic smell. So you should have good ventilation. Oh, this says you can bake it in the oven too. I have never done that before. I guess that's really how it started out, in the oven. I never played with Shrinky Dinks when I was, actually they didn't have them when I was younger. If that tells you anything. Yeah, I guess it did. It started out as an oven baked project. So, but the craft gun, the heat gun, to me is a good thing. And I don't see anything. You have used other plastic? Okay, well, I'm not real well versed in this other than doing this particular project or technique. So if you have other info that you want to share about it, you know, please pass it along in the group. That would, no, I'll mess with that later. That would be nice and benefit. Okay, let's see here. Oh, thank you, Sharon. Sharon put a link up there, an Amazon link for that paper. So, okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to just do this other guy and then I'll get on to making the pin. But, oh no, I was going to shrink this guy to see how it worked. So you can watch me if it's a fail or a success. Let's see. You guys ready? All right. This is a lot to hang on to and to heat up. So I'm just going to kind of go around here. And here we go. Get back here. Ah! I wasn't lying. Eep. I can't grab on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Isn't that wild how that does that? Ah! Don't stick to itself, I hope. I want to say, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West. What a world! What a world! While she's shrinking. Or melting, I guess. Oh, this is so cute. I hope it's not going to be a fail. Lay down there. Lay down. Okay. Ooh, it's cute. It's also hot. Look how cute he came out. I have no idea what I'm going to do with him, but I guess it would make a pin or something. But, you know, if you did other kinds of crafting things like card making or whatever, you could attach these to a card. That would be real cute. I guess it's just however your mind works, you know, as far as finding ideas to use these. But I think the coloring time spent was well worth it. I think it's cute. And you can probably, you know, sand your edges if you wanted to round them out a little bit or whatever. But yeah, I think it's cute. It's a win, not a fail. Okay, so now we will get to the pin part. Let's see. And for that, I don't need the, oh, that tile's hot. I have a disc. I believe this is like a 7/8 inch, or I mean, you could use a 1 inch or whatever, or like I said before, you could use a larger one if you wanted. But this, I think this one is a 7/8 of an inch, which doesn't really matter a whole lot, but we want to make sure our kitty fits on it, and he does. Okay, so now I'm going to emboss the edge with what they would call, I guess in the older, I don't know, older times, maybe they still call it a decal edge. On stationery, that used to be like a big thing, you know, it made your stationery look prettier and stuff, but you know, who uses stationery anymore? But it's that same type of look on the edge. Okay, So I'm just going to hammer a little decorative edge, and this is just because I like the way it looks. It doesn't have to be done. You can take the back of a chasing hammer. You don't have to have a specialty hammer for this. Just the little ball peen part of a chasing hammer will work. For the decal, you could also use a straight line embossing hammer, giving it a different look, but equally nice. And you don't have to be real concerned if you're totally even or not, because the cat's going to cover most of the disc. This is just the very outer edge. But it just gives a nice little sparkle when the light catches the edge. And if you're concerned about hammering your fingers, you can hold the disc with a craft stick and hammer away. Okay, so I think that's probably enough. I'm going to make sure that that's flattened out. Okay. Okay. So it just gives it a little bit of decorative touch on there. Okay. So now I want to solder on the pin back. If you don't want to solder, you can epoxy set a pin back on there. For those who don't want to play with fire, get my water, my quench bowl, my soldering stuff. Get this guy out of the way. It's just amazing how much stuff I have around me. Okay, I'm going to start flinging stuff. Okay, so I'm going to get my disc. And I've found, I've made a considerable amount of pins here in the last few weeks, which I've totally enjoyed. But I'm finding that putting the pin up a little bit higher, placing it a little bit higher on the back rather than the center, depending, I mean, for this size, it's really not a problem, but you don't want your pins to kind of fall over. And sometimes if they're heavy, they have a tendency to do that. They don't stay nice and flat and upright. They'll kind of flop. So if you attach your little pin back higher, that kind of solves that problem. Oh, and if you didn't see these guys, excuse me, I made these in the last couple of days. I've been having big fun with these things. And the pumpkin is, well, these are all Potter pancake dies, Potter USA. But Joni Kisro had done, a couple weeks ago, she had done a demo on stamping pumpkins. And I just loved it. I thought it was just one of the cutest little things. So, of course, I ordered the stamps. And I already had the pumpkin pancake die, but I ordered the pumpkin stamps and stamped away. So that was kind of cute. But I want to give her credit because this is pretty much her pattern that she stamped on her pin. So yeah, and this is the one we did last week. So, well, I gave her the one that we did last week, but gave it away. But anyway, those are other things that you can make with these pin backs. Okay. All right. So I am going to put a little dab of solder paste. And I've been using the cross-lock tweezers with the groove in them to hold this pin in. And then somebody said, well, why can't you just put the pin down and not use the pliers? And I thought, well, I guess I could try that. And it makes sense because the crosslock tweezers with the groove in them are wonderful for soldering the earring backs on studs. So that's very necessary to hold that that pin in place because it doesn't have a base on it like this does. So I'm just going to put this guy down here. The only danger is that he could kind of scoot off as soon as I apply the heat. So that's something that you have to be conscious of, you know, that could happen. But that's not like the worst thing that could happen because you can pretty much get him back with your solder pick. So I put a little bit of easy paste solder on here. And, you know, the clutch, when you put the clutch back on it, yeah, that's going to stick above the edge of your pin, but it doesn't matter because that's behind your pin. You're not going to see it, you know, when it's on your clothing. So it really doesn't matter if it's up a little bit higher. Okay, it just makes sense to me to have it up higher. All right, so let me move things that could catch on fire, because, you know, if they could, they probably will. All right, and now I'm going to get my torch. I've got my pickle set up. And, okay, come on. Oh, he's going to be, oh, there we go. He'll be fickle. All right, so I'm just applying the heat. If you're using paste solder, always make sure you have very good ventilation. A fume trap is good to have, or an open window with a fan blowing the air out. There are things inside the chemicals in there that are not good to be breathing. So always keep that in mind if you're going to use the paste solder. Okay, so picking it up, quenching it. It's on. It's nice and secure. So I'm going to stick that in the pickle. Pretty simple when it's only one tiny little solder thing. Okay, pickle, you're far away. Okay, cover him up. I have a little jar of pickle on a cup warmer with a lid over it, so I'm not breathing that stuff. It's really not good to keep pickle around your tools. I usually have, well, I always have my pickle pot in my laundry room, so it's kind of far away from harming anything. Okay, so these things I'm done with. Now, I, of course, already did one, so he's out of the pickle. And I'm just going to clean him up a bit, and then I will attach, I'll show you how I attached the kitty to him. Any questions in the meantime? All right. Get this stuff here. I don't know how he got all discombobulated. Okay. I am going to just do a quick clean. Hello, Suzanne, from way down under. This actually isn't really even necessary. You could just take a sanding block, a very fine sanding block, or a pro polish pad, something like that, and just shine them up. There's no excess solder on this guy. He's really actually a little bit too aggressive. That one's a little too aggressive. That actually does a nice satin finish on your metal if you wanted to have that kind of a finish. We'll put a little bit finer one on here. But most of this isn't going to be seen anyway, but I want that edge to be nice and clean. I really shouldn't have used that yellow 3M brush. That was just a little bit too abrasive, but it's okay. This is for demonstration purposes. Mostly of not what to do. So that's usually how I roll. Okay, so that's enough of that business. Now, I am going to take, I have UV resin. You don't have to use UV resin. You can use regular resin. It just takes longer. You don't have to have a UV light, although it's very nice to have one. But this is quicker for demonstration purposes for sure. And I bought this product called Dink. I know it's backwards. I got this on Amazon. And what it is it is a little UV curing light pen. So the UV gel comes out this one end. It has a little cap on it. Comes on that end. And then you turn on the UV light, which I think you can see, and it cures an area. But these are meant for very small areas, okay? So if you're doing a bigger project, you probably would want a UV lamp like they have in the salons, like when you have your nails done and stuff. So that's a possibility, but like I said, you don't have to have it, because this particular UV material, I guess all of them will cure in sunlight. So on a sunny day, you could take your project and set it outside, and it will cure in about 20 minutes. It'll be cured. So you can, but this actually I got for other projects. This was for repairing some stuff that was hard to get at, and it works great for that. I have one of my a thing for glass fusing, a sanding, a grinder that holds water, and the nut wouldn't hold, and I couldn't replace it. And I thought, well, if I could put some UV gel around it and cure it, maybe that would work, and it did. But that was something you could not put in the UV box. So having this little tip on here was kind of a neat thing. Anyway, it seems like I'm promoting all these other products, and I guess I am, but my intent is just to share good ideas with you. I am not affiliated with any of those companies, so I don't get any kind of kickback or anything, but I'm just happy to share stuff with you that I've found out along the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got my kitty, and I just want to glue him on here right now. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the, they have refills too, and then I buy this Limino, L-I-M-I-N-O. I got this on Amazon, and it's just a bigger container of the UV gel. So I just refill I don't buy the Bondic refills because they're expensive. But this guy, I just bought a big bottle of this, and when this thing is empty, I just refill it, and it makes perfect sense to me. Okay. And I think I overfilled this guy the last time I filled it up. So it's messy. This is something you might want to wear gloves for because it is messy. And, you know, the resin will come off, but it's just really tacky on your hands for a while. So I'm going to just put a little bit of the resin on the back of the kitty. All right. I have these little micro tool applicators and microfiber applicators, and I'm just going to spread it around with that. I like the idea of resin as a glue rather than glue, you know, because when you say glue, most people shudder. All right, so I've got my tack pin oriented up high on the top, and I lay him on here. I might have put a little bit too much, but to hold this guy steady in the UV box, I took a piece of 3M scrub brush, and I'm going to stick that pin. I should have done that first. Duh. There we go. I'm going to stick him in there to keep him level. Okay. All right. You could also use, if you were going to do something like that, you could also use like styrofoam and stick the pin in there and keep your piece level. So I'm gonna, my box is right here. I don't think you can see it, but I'll put got my light right there. You see? So he's in the tank. Well, in the box, I should say, not a tank. Okay, and that doesn't take real long. And then when he comes out, I'm going to put resin along the edge of the plastic. Shrinky Dink. I'm not going to cover, I'm not going to cover the entire metal, although I could with resin. But on him, if you see, he's raised above, and then the metal is without resin. So I'm going to do the same thing. And so I'm going to take my little micro tip applicator and spread a little resin around the edges just so that they're shiny and they match the top surface. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Any questions? What do you guys think so far? Is it something you think you might do or play with? Okay. I don't know. I find lots of fun doing these different things from time to time. I didn't think about the dead time of that going in there, of what to talk about. I could talk about next week's project, what I have planned. I'm going to let this go another time. That the timer on the light box is not very long. I've never actually timed it. I probably should, just to see how long it is, but it's probably only a minute. Yeah, Sharon, it is. It's very simple. Very, very simple. All right, I want to make sure I don't have any resin on my fingers, but I will show you what's happening next week, or what I'm going to attempt to do next week. And that is another Halloween project. But this, I think, is the last of the Halloween projects. But he was just too cute to pass up. That is this guy. And this is a pendant. I don't have it on a chain. I guess I should have put him on a chain so you could see him better. But these, again, are Potter USA pancake dies. That it was a hat, a kitty face, and a bow, and a little tiny pumpkin up here at the top. And then a piece of, I don't know, I think it's 10 gauge, maybe 8 gauge wire that I made a circle frame around him. So that's going to be next. And he'll be a little bit more of a solder challenge, but really it's not easy. I mean, it's not hard. It's just a matter of keeping everything in the right place while you're soldering, because you're soldering 3 pieces, the bow, the kitty, and the hat together, and then soldering the bow on the wire and the pumpkin on the wire. So there's a little bit of, you know, things could go south, but it's worth it. Now, I did not come up with this design. This is a design that actually 2 people on Facebook originated. The first one was pretty different, but the kitty had the hat on. But then Lori Vaden, which I know a lot of you know from Facebook, from metalsmithing sites, and from Potter, the Potter People group, she played around with it and put the bow on him and put him on this wire. The only original thing I added was the pumpkin. But Lori and I are friends, and we talked about it, and she said she had absolutely no problem with me showing this and doing this as a project. And also the First Lady, I think it's Karen Hart. She was the first one that played with this. And when I saw that cat with the hat on it, I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. And then when Lori did this with the bow, it's like, oh, I've got to have those pancake dies. And I don't know if they're still available or not. But if this is something that you really, really like and really want to do it and can't find the pancake dice, I'd be happy to punch some discs for you. You know, just a few. I mean, I don't want to like make a million of them, but I don't mind making a few just because I know some of these dies, they get retired, or you know, enough people have to request them before they do another run on them, and that's not always possible. So you know, I just put that out there for you. I've got another guy too. This was the first one that I made, which is pretty much the same. It's just a different texture. This guy's got the little lines on the back, and this one's got the little deckled embossed on there. And this guy doesn't have a pumpkin because I didn't have the pumpkin at that time. But I just love these guys. I just think they're pretty cool. Anyway, that's what's coming up next week. So let's see how this guy is doing. He's on, he's set, and I will give him the final coat with the resin. And I'm just gonna kind of blob this stuff on. I keep this little tip right in the resin as I'm applying it rather than lifting it up, just to avoid any bubbles that could be created in the resin by doing so. You just kind of flow that all the way around. And then, then I'm going to put a little bit on my micro tip. I said I was going to do it the other way around. That would have made more sense. But I think I'm going to have to hold this guy while I do that. And just run a little bit around the edge. Trying not to get it on the copper. That's a trick. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it got on there, really. But my idea... Actually, I should have done that. I should have done the edge first before I put him on the copper and glued him. So I think I'm going to leave well enough alone instead of futzing it up. Get back in there. Let's see if that styrofoam is better. Yes, much easier. Okay. And if you see a little bit of fuzz, try to get it out before you set it. If you have pets around your craft area, it's very possible that you have pet hairs floating around. Okay, so I'm going to put him back in the UV box and let him cook in there. Well, not cook. All right. All right, and clean this stuff up because I'm telling you, the resin gets everywhere if you don't wipe that down, wipe off the containers. Okay, so let's see. Let me get my eyeballs off here. Yes, Mel, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Thank you for reminding me. I have it in my handout notes. There is a very nice lady on Facebook named Julie Haymaker, and I met her a few years ago in Tucson at the Gem Show when she was just bringing out her Shrinky Dink or Shrinkettes line of products. And hang on just one second, don't go away. I'll show you something here. Boy, I've been sitting too long. Okay, she has a really cute line of things for Shrinky Dinks and Shrinky Dink papers and different things. So, I go to Tucson, or I've been going to Tucson every year. My good friend Rhonda has a place there, and she graciously invites me to come during the Gem Show. And we have a small studio set up in her garage there. And so we always bring things to play with in between shows. And the year that we met Julie, we just went nuts. All of us that were there, there's a few of us that all go. And we bought a whole bunch of her products and papers and things. But she has, and this is backwards, she has a couple of new ones out that I haven't even gotten to yet. But she has a whole system of different things that you can make, different molds that you can make really cute flowers and different items to make charm bracelets, and she has templates and just all kinds of really cool things that you can make using the shrink plastic. And now I don't know if she still has everything like she did. I know she was able to make some changes in some of her molds than the originals. We got the originals, and they work fine. But she's made some improvements, some easier things to make with them. And darn it, I don't have. Do I have those things in front of me? Off to the side, I have another bowl of treasures. She makes, you can make little bead caps and flowers and leaves and hearts, you know, different size hearts. And you color and design them however you want with your colored pencils. And she has, the premise behind that is the system, and I don't know where everything is. It's all supposed to be in this box, but I'm seeing that not everything's in here. In the kits, she has molds that, well, here's a good example. Here she's got this block of wood that's got this pin in it that I was using my awl to hold the plastic from blowing away. And you put that in there, and then when it gets hot, then you mold it in these molds, and it takes the shape of the flower or other objects. Anyway, she's made beautiful bracelets, beautiful pendants. She's got a Facebook group. I think it's Julie Haymaker's Shrinkettes. So you might want to look her up if this is something that you like to do. I primarily was doing this demo just to acquaint you with working with Shrinky Dinks as jewelry. But there's lots of different fun things that you can do with it. Now, this kitty is the same kitty, but he's on one of her sparkle papers, and that gives it a whole different look. She has different Shrinky Dink papers. What's out of here? Different Shrinky Dink papers that have colors, and they have sparkles. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's sparkles embedded in them. Here's one that's got, goodbye. This one's got gold sparkles in it, if you can see that. So, you know, there's lots of different things. So if you are interested in this as a technique, a jewelry making technique, check out her work and her page. And I've got her information on the handout that I'm going to be putting on our group page when this is over. And it's just another thing that's fun. Okay, so I'm going to check on messages again. I love that cat, Suzanne. I just think that that's the cutest thing ever. Tammy just got online, so I'll have to watch the replay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can always watch the replay on these things too. Yeah, so Mel, thanks for mentioning that, because I had every intention of mentioning it, but I think I was spacing it out, so I'm glad that you did, my friend. Thank you, Suzanne. You're very kind. Okay, so let's see how... Well, he's still on it, but I think... I'm just giving this another second. I think, like I said, I'm going to do that Halloween kitty next week. And I think I may do the dapped copper bowls the following week. I'm not certain, 100% certain yet. I could do them in copper. I'm not sure if I should introduce the enamels at that time or not. But I could. I just have to give it more thought. I've been, you know, really occupied a lot with my dad lately, so it really depends on how much time I have to play around with stuff. Okay, he's out. He's out and he's done. And why isn't this fitting in the clutch? There we go. Okay, so kitty pin is a success. So unless you have any other questions, I'll wrap this up and see you next week. I'll see you on the group page. Like I said, I'll post the instructions, the handout. I have that ready to go. I just have to post it. And I know some people have trouble finding the instructions, but they are in the files section. Sometimes I've heard from some people that clicking on the link that I put in the post announcing that the instructions are available, sometimes you can't get to the file from there. But if you go up at the top under the banner photo in the group page, it says files, and if you click on that, then all the files are listed, and they are all listed in order of the demos that I've done. I know finding the individual demos is more of a challenge, and I don't know why I can't compile them, or not compile, but I'd like to label them so when people go looking for a demo, they can find it without having to play it to see what I'm demoing that day. So if anybody has any insight on that, I'd like to improve the ability to find the demos for those who are having more difficulty searching those things out. So I guess that's going to be it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for asking your questions or whatever. Let me know if you make any of this stuff. Please post it on the page. Our group is growing. We're like 430 people or something right now, which I think is great. I'd like to have the numbers be a little bit larger, but you know, in time. So anyway, you know, if you have people that you'd like to add to the group or mention to the group, please do so. Also, today's the last day for signups for my Boho Duo class that's coming up at the end of October. The information is on the group page. It's maybe doesn't look like a real intensive project, but there's a lot going on in there. So if it's something that interests you, you've got till the rest of the day to sign up. And I'm working on kits, and I'm trying to just get everything that I need ordered. I have a lot of stuff, but there might be a couple of things that there are a couple of things that I'm still waiting for. So that way, once I get all the materials, then I can go ahead and mail out your kits. So there's a few seats left, and hey, the more the merrier. We'll have a lot of fun. So, all right, see you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care.